What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. Hope everyone's doing well. Wednesday evening here. We're going to hang out for the next, 30, 40 minutes. And we'll answer all your questions in the chat room. I am going to kind of go over some of the practice news and the player reports that came through today. So if you guys do have start-sit questions, please fire them up in the comments. I'll get to them shortly. I'm just going to open up just the Twitter feed from Underdog. There's so much going on today, a lot of news here. So I'm just going to kind of read through the news, and then again, I'll answer your questions when I get to them in just a little bit. So let's hang out. Happy Wednesday, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Hope you're all doing well. All right, so the first one I have here is Jakobi Meyers does not practice Wednesday, so that's a little bit of concern there. We do think Jakobi Meyers has some value now that Devontae Adams is out of the way, but no practice today. We'll see if he can go for Thursday or Friday. It sure sounds like Cooper Kupp's going to be playing this weekend. He was officially limited in practice today. Pretty good news. I think he's on track to playing week 7, if not week 8 at the latest. So good news on Cooper Kupp here. He's trending in the right direction per Sean McVay. Some interesting news here from Drake May in the New England Patriots. He underwent an MRI today after practice. So he just played Sunday. Maybe he got a little bit dinged up and he kind of re-aggravated something on Wednesday practice here. We'll watch for that one. Hopefully everything's okay. But big MRI results there for Drake May. We'll wait for that one. San Francisco 49ers, Ricky Pearsall practicing in full. I think you can drop Jawan Jennings if you guys have been holding on to Jennings. Ricky Pearsall is going to probably eat into some of his snaps, and we'll see if he can get on the field as number 3. TJ Hawkinson for the Vikings officially limited today. That's good news here. I still don't know if he's going to play in week 7 here. I think he's very likely to play week 8, though. So maybe he misses week 7, plays week 8. We'll see. More Vikings news here. Aaron Jones not practicing. That one concerns me a little bit because they just traded for Cam Akers last night. So maybe that means they're a little bit nervous about Jones staying healthy. Maybe he's not healthy right now. The Vikings did have a huge need at running back 3. So bringing Cam Akers in makes sense for them. Don't know if Aaron Jones is going to play this weekend. So we'll watch for that. It is also a tough matchup against the Lions. So maybe they hold out Jones for this one. We know Derek Carr is doubtful for Thursday. He's not playing tomorrow night. No Dallas Goedert today at practice, officially DNP on Wednesday. The Broncos did list Pat Surtain, the amazing cornerback, out for tomorrow night here, but the Saints are just – that offense is not looking good tomorrow night. Jordan Whittington for the Rams, limited today. We have Clyde Edwards-Helaire practicing in full, so that's good news to see him back here. I still think Kareem Hunt's the guy to own there. No Ramondre Stevenson for the Patriots. I don't know when they fly over to London here, but if he's not practicing today, I'm assuming Ramondre Stevenson's not playing this Sunday in London. James Cook officially limited in practice today, which is a good sign for his availability on Sunday. I'm not sure if they're going to kind of lighten his workload a little bit since he's coming back from a serious toe injury. Maybe we see more Ray Davis, who looked awesome on Sunday Night Football, or was it Monday Night Football? Elijah Moore, not on the report for the Browns. He steps into the number 2 role for the Browns. He's worth a look in deeper leagues here. No Mike Williams with personal reasons today. I don't know what that means here, but Mike Williams can be dropped in deeper leagues. Nick Chubb, full practice today. Nick Chubb starting for the Cleveland Browns this weekend. So I don't know if I want to play him as a running back 2 unless I really need to, but we shall see. Travis Etienne Jr., limited after hurting his hamstring in Sunday in London. I did not expect him to practice this week. So this gives the potential for him to play on Sunday here. I still don't know how to read this one. I thought he for sure was not going to practice this week, but limited Wednesday. That puts him in track to play this weekend. Good news for Devon Achane practicing in full. Jordan Mason, limited practice here, so on track to play this Sunday. We'll see. I still think Isaac Guerendo is of use for us on our rosters for the next couple days. Brian Robinson officially limited today, which is a good sign for his availability Sunday. The Indianapolis Colts, no Jonathan Taylor, no Trey Sermon. So right now I'm thinking we don't see Jonathan Taylor play in week 7. I don't know if we see Trey Sermon play. So if Tyler Goodson's available and you need a running back right now, Goodson's worth looking at. The Colts also added a running back. I can't remember. I think it might have been Salvin Ahmed who they signed here. So the writing's kind of on the wall there that they might be shorthanded at running back this weekend. Tyler Goodson should be owned in deeper leagues. Devin Singletary limited today. I think he's on track to play Not quite sure what the split's going to be like with Tyrone Tracy, but on track to play. Malik Neighbors limited. I think he's on track to play. And then New Orleans Saints, man. I mean, no Chris Olave, no Rashid Shaheed, who might be done for the year. We don't know yet. We got to see what happens in his surgery. So the Saints are coming in pretty limited. Bub Means might be their wide receiver one for this week and might be their number 2 receiver for a little bit here. Packers, Dontavian Wicks, limited practice. He's on track to play. I'm not sure if that's serious or not yet, but we'll watch for that. Rashid Shaheed, the note here is that he could land on IR, so we'll watch for that. Taysom Hill's doubtful for tomorrow night. The Chargers have designated DJ Chark Jr. to return from IR. 21-day practice window opened. Maybe he gets involved soon. The Panthers also activated Jonathan Brooks, so that's a good sign there. The Panthers might get their running back. I don't think he's playing this weekend. I would expect him not to play. He's got a chance to play week 8. I think week 9 is more likely for Jonathan Brooks. Zamir White practiced today. Russell Wilson took the first team reps in practice today, so maybe he's their starting. I don't know. Maybe he's their starting quarterback this week. We'll see. If you guys have Amari Cooper, who just landed with the Buffalo Bills, he's uncertain to play. We'll watch for his reports. Even if he plays, I don't think he's going to be in for a full amount of snaps. He's got to get that playbook down and get some things figured out. But I think I'm very, very excited for Amari Cooper the rest of season. No Tajay Spears today. Devontae Adams expected to play today, and I think we are all caught up. So I'm going to pivot here, and we're going to look at some of the questions in the chat room. So hope everyone's doing well tonight. Good evening to Daniel. Would you trade Chubb and Pickens for Neighbors or St. Brown? Yes. Yes. Go get – we know that Malik Neighbors, when healthy, he's been a top 5 receiver. Amon-Ra, he's had a couple bad games, but for the most part, he's a top 10 receiver. I think you cash in Chubb, you cash in Pickens, you go get Neighbors or St. Brown. I'm going to lean St. Brown just because he's safer. He's proven. Jared Goff, the offense. But if I can get Neighbors or St. Brown, I'm doing so. And good evening to Harris. Kirk Cousins or Jared Goff rest of season? I'm going to lean Kirk Cousins rest of season just because Atlanta – I feel very good about that offense right now. That week 1 was scary, but they've done a lot of things to show that, hey, this is a good team, good offense. Jared Goff does have to deal with handing it off to David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Cousins, he's still throwing the ball a ton to London, to Mooney, to Pitts, to McLeod. I think the passing is a little bit more important there in Atlanta than it is for Jared Goff. I'm going to lean Cousins here. Good evening to Jerry. Are we starting Baker or Darnold this weekend? Okay, so I really like the matchup for Sam Darnold at home off a bye week against the Lions. The Lions have not been a great team defensively, especially the wide receivers and quarterbacks. But Baker Mayfield, man, has been kind of lights out this season. He's been like the best quarterback for fantasy football this year. So I'm going to lean Baker Mayfield. I trust the body of work. I like how Godwin and Evans and some of the other pieces are playing there. And they're playing the Ravens. And the way to play against the Ravens right now is to throw the ball. You don't want to run the ball against the Ravens, but they have shown that their secondary is allowing quarterbacks to score, wide receivers to score. I think it's a pretty good matchup for Baker Mayfield. So I'm going to lean Baker here in this question, but both really, really solid options. But I think you got to play Baker Mayfield. Good evening to Jason. Sport Dog, 8-team standard. We dropped Kyler and got Sam Darnold and Addison off waivers. We also have Hawkinson, who will be available very soon. Happy there's bye weeks over the year. Yes, that sounds fantastic. Hawkinson, and I know it's an 8-team league, so there's probably some tough decisions every now and then. But if you can get TJ Hawkinson, I would like to do so. Again, I don't think he's going to play this week. I think he's playing week 8. But get TJ Hawkinson if you can. Lean into that Vikings. The Cardinals are headed one way. The Vikings are looking like a top 5 team in the NFL right now. So I like the moves there, Sport Dog. Start the Chargers D versus Arizona. Bengals D at Browns or Eagles D at the Giants. Okay, so I'm kind of torn on the Eagles defense because I personally don't think they're a good defense. The Giants have been prone to turnovers and some things like that, which, I kind of like. but they're not a good defense. I believe the game's in New York as well. I'm looking up at my DraftKings game lines here. This is the teams with the fewest amount of points projected this week. That's the Titans, the Saints, the Browns, which is your Cincinnati Bengals at the Browns. The Browns are only projected 17.75 points. The New York Giants are projected almost 20 points, and the Arizona Cardinals are projected about 21. So for me, I'm thinking the Bengals are your best bet. The Browns just lost Amari Cooper. I think they lead the league in sacks allowed. I think the Cleveland Browns offense is just one target right now. I'm going to lean Cincinnati here. If I had to rank these teams here, I'm probably going to go Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Chargers. I do like the Chargers defense. I just, they're on the road against Arizona. Kyler Murray could be you never know what you're getting from Kyler Murray. It could be really good, could be really bad. I think Deshaun Watson's going to be bad, though, so I will go Bengals D. Flex full PPR, Javonte or Pittman? I think I'm ducking the hell out of tomorrow night's game there, Jerry. I don't want anything to do. If I can avoid this preseason football game that we're getting tomorrow night between the Broncos and the Saints, I'm going to do so. And I know Pittman hasn't been the best with Anthony Richardson, but I'm going to lean Michael Pittman Jr. here. The thing that I'm worried about most for Javonte is, one, he just hasn't looked good. And the coach speak, Sean, what's his name? Sean has basically said that he wants to see more Audric Estime. So I'm pretty nervous about how the running backs look tomorrow night. Sean Payton, that's his name. I want to see what the Broncos look like tomorrow night from afar. I don't want to start Javonte Williams. He hasn't been good. I'm going to go Michael Pittman Jr. here. Would you start either or both of Montgomery and Pickens in tough matchups? If I'm looking at Douglas, Leggett, Montgomery, and Pickens, I'm starting Montgomery flat out. Like, he's the one that I want in my lineup. Like, if you ask who's the best chance to score a touchdown, it's easily David Montgomery. He's the one that I want in my lineup. Now, Leggett, I want to like Leggett, but we still don't know what we're getting every week, not only from Leggett, but from the Panthers offense. So that's kind of two negatives here. With George Pickens, I like the talent. I like the upgrade potentially to Russell Wilson. That should help him in the passing game. But again, against the Jets, we don't know what we're going to get. Demario Douglas, on the other hand, against the New England Patriots, I like a lot. We do have to worry about if Drake May has been in for an MRI today, so that's a little bit concerning. If I'm ranking these guys tonight, it's Montgomery, like in a tier all by himself. And then I would go Douglas, Pickens, Leggett is how I would rank these guys here. So I hope that helps. Bigsby or the Cook? Okay, so we don't know if James Cook's going to play yet. He did practice today in limited capacity, which I think is a good sign for his availability this weekend. I am thinking that he's on track to play. Now, they're playing Tennessee, and the Titans have been a very good team against the running back. They let basically the only team to have a good game against the Titans have been the Jets. They let all the Jets running backs score points that weekend through the air and through the ground. But otherwise, the Titans defense has really, really limited opponent running backs. So I don't think it's a great matchup for the Bills backs. I think I might lean Tank Bigsby here against the New England Patriots. And my thinking is, we have to watch for Travis Etienne. If Etienne's out, I think the answer is very easily Tank Bigsby because we would expect the Jags to play from a lead, which means they can get Bigsby rolling, get him up to 14, 15 carries, get a shot at a touchdown. So if no Etienne, I'm going to say Tank Bigsby is the answer. If Etienne plays, I'm going to lean James Cook. What are we doing with the Pittsburgh offense with Russell Wilson? I think everybody gets an upgrade. So, when you think about a team as a whole, and when you think about the Steelers, they only have so many fantasy points that they can get per game. And most of those points lately have been going to Justin Fields and Najee Harris. You remove Fields from the situation, you put Russell Wilson in, who's going to throw the ball out more towards George Pickens, towards Pat Freiermuth. There might even be some meat left on the bone for some of the running backs to catch passes. Maybe there's another receiver like Calvin Austin or maybe Roman Wilson someday. I think Russell Wilson, instead of losing touchdowns because Justin Fields runs them in, he's throwing those to guys that we just mentioned. So I think the Pittsburgh offense as a whole gets upgraded with Russell Wilson. Obviously, it sucks to lose. If you had Justin Fields, it sucks because he was playing like a top 5, top 10 QB in fantasy. But with him gone, that's going to get some of the fantasy points pushed out to the boundaries. So I like the Pittsburgh offense with Russell Wilson, with Justin Fields. It was really only Fields and Najee Harris that could eat. So I think it's better for fantasy. Moss, Rachaad White, or Douglas. I think the easy answer here is Demario Douglas. And even if Drake May doesn't play, I still think the answer is Demario Douglas. With Rachaad White, you do have to worry about them playing Baltimore Ravens, one of the best run defenses in the league right now. That does concern me. You also have Sean Tucker playing the best game of his career. Bucky Irving also playing the best game of his career. There might be a three-headed situation there. I'm very uncomfortable playing Rachaad White this weekend. I want to see what that looks like before I buy it. And then you have Zach Moss, who dinged up his knee or his ankle a couple weeks ago, lost some work to Chase Brown. They're playing at Cleveland, which, as bad as Cleveland's been this year, we still think of them as a good defense. I'm going to lean towards benching Zach Moss. I'm going to lean Demario Douglas. We're in a full PPR league. The man has had some really nice moments, and it's a one-game sample here with Drake May, but it was a really good one-game sample. I think Demario Douglas could be the leading target man for Drake May the rest of the year. He's had back-to-back games of 9 targets, back-to-back games of 6 catches, and he finally caught a touchdown last weekend. So I think the favor here is for Demario Douglas. I don't think so, Jason. I do like Bub Means, but these last few years, man, like I've kind of had a thought where Thursday Night Football, if my player is not a stud, I don't want them in my lineup. And I tend to avoid wanting to get a flex type player in my lineup. So I do think Bub Means is a good play tomorrow night. But again, Broncos defense, even without Pat Surtain, we still like that defense. And that's a very, very low scoring game. The Broncos could be leading and just running the ball. Like we don't know what we're buying tomorrow night. So for me, I think I'm playing Demario Douglas, assuming Drake May's starting. I would rank these guys as Douglas, Pickens, Means, Legette is probably how I would do it. Neighbors or Tony Pollard. That one's a little tougher because I don't expect Tajay Spears to play this weekend, and Tony Pollard's been one of the best running backs in football right now. So I do like Tony Pollard playing against Buffalo. The Bills have been you've been able to run on Buffalo. They didn't allow a touchdown last weekend to the Jets, but the Jets running backs ran for 121 yards. They've given up 3 rushing touchdowns on the year. They've had 3 games where they've given up over 100 yards rushing, and of course Derrick Henry lit them up. So I do like the floor of Tony Pollard, but give me Malik Neighbors. If Malik Neighbors is in, I'm playing Malik Neighbors. 8-team PPR Superflex. We need 2 wide receivers. We have Downs, McLaurin, Watson, Pickens, Darnell Mooney. Love is my QB. What works best in your opinion? You're going to play Terry McLaurin. That's the clear-cut one that sticks out above the others. Terry McLaurin's been on fire these last couple weeks here, and I think it's part of one that Jaden Daniels is looking really good, but the offense is starting to evolve a little bit and allow Terry McLaurin to blossom as the number 1 receiver. So I'm seeing 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games for Terry. He's had 4 straight games over 13 fantasy points in full PPR. You want Terry. Now after that, Josh Downs. I love Josh Downs. I am a little bit nervous about what it looks like with Anthony Richardson, so I'm okay waiting for a week to see what that looks like first before I trust it. I kind of think you're looking at Watson, Pickens. Those 2 guys are kind of in the same boat because they're both big play guys that can catch a touchdown right now. Just the Packers score touchdowns. The Steelers do not score touchdowns. So I would lean Watson over Pickens there. But I kind of think Darnell Mooney is the guy you're looking for here. I know he didn't have a great game last weekend, 3 for 38, but we've seen a 31-point game, a 17-point game, and a 14-point game from Darnell Mooney. He's been your best, most consistent player with a big ceiling. I'm leaning towards Darnell Mooney being your wide receiver 2 this weekend. So if you want to get, I would rank these guys as Terry McLaurin, Mooney, Watson, Pickens, Downs is probably where I would go with that. So I hope that helps. I get that you have Jordan Love in there, and if Jordan Love throws a touchdown to Watson, you still get those points. If he doesn't throw a touchdown to Watson, you still get those points with Jordan Love. So I want to root for Christian Watson against the Texans, but again, there's a lot of players there in Green Bay. If you don't get a Watson touchdown, you're looking at probably not a lot of points here, so I'm a little bit nervous about that. I think Mooney's probably your safe play. Madison or Moss, half PPR, we're going with Madison. Ooh. Whew, that's tough for this week, man. Oh, these are all really good players, dude. I think I'm going to put Deontay Johnson and Deontay Johnson, man, against Washington sounds really freaking nice. So I'm going to go Deontay Johnson, Zay Flowers as the clear top two. Mason versus Dell and Thomas, that gets a little bit more tricky. I think I'm going to lean Brian Thomas Jr., number 3 against the Patriots. I like what despite the Jags' bad struggles as a team, Thomas is still getting targets. He dropped a touchdown last week and he could have had a good game. I do like Tank Dell. It's a tougher matchup in Green Bay on the road. So I'm gonna go Deontay, Flowers, Thomas Jr., Dell, Mason. I'm ranking Jordan Mason last just because, one, they're playing the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a very good run defense, and they could be a team that makes them get out of their character and have to throw the ball more. Mason's also got the shoulder injury here. I'm seeing the Chiefs are the number 1 team against running back. I would lean into the receivers here. Yeah, half PPR. I think I would still lean the same here because, one, Mason doesn't catch passes. I'm still going to rank Deontay and Flowers as your best 2 options. Thomas Jr. is your best bet at a touchdown. And then Dell number 4, Mason number 5. Mostert, Rachaad White, Leggett, half PPR. I'm not quite sure how to read this Dolphins backfield because you have Devon Achane coming back, who practiced in full today. You have Mostert, who's healthy now for a full game, had a bye week. He should be as healthy as he is all year. And then Rachaad White, I'm not interested in starting Rachaad White here. I need to see this offense before I put him back in my lineup. So I'm crossing him out. So it becomes between Mostert and Leggett. Now, it's a great matchup for Mostert against the Colts. Leggett, I do like the matchup against the Commanders, but I think he's a little bit harder to trust, whereas I expect Mostert to get some touches, maybe get a touchdown. I'm going to go Mostert, Leggett, Rachaad White as your ranking. If Marvin Harrison Jr. is indeed out, we're going to go Michael Wilson Jr. over Ray McCloud. Polk, Pierce, Sermon, Warren, Rachaad White. We're going to go with Jaylen Warren here. That's assuming Russell Wilson's the quarterback. And, I don't feel good about Sermon. He's missing practice. I don't think he's on track to play. Dameon Pierce is the clear handcuff in a game where I don't think the Texans are going to be playing from a huge lead where they can establish the run. Jalen Polk, I like the talent, but he just hasn't been quite, startable yet. And Rachaad White, I have my reserve. So I'm going to go Jaylen Warren here. Knicks or Randy Dalton. I'm going Randy Dalton tomorrow night, or not tomorrow night, but we're going to pass on Bo Nix. These questionable guys on Thursday Night Football, I don't know if I trust the Broncos offense tomorrow night, even though the Saints are banged up. I will lean Andy Dalton against the Commanders. Good evening to Ryan. Hope you're doing well, man. And good evening to Chase. Ryan says, Cooper, J-Mo, Downs, or Ray Davis if no Cook. Okay, so I did see a report that we're not sure if Amari Cooper is going to play this weekend. So even if he plays, I do have to worry, is he on a snap count? Is he the clear number 1 receiver? How much of the playbook does he have down? I have questions there. So I think if James Cook is out, you have to play Ray Davis. That's the 1-for-1 play. If no James Cook, you play Ray Davis. If James Cook plays, I think I'm sticking with Jameson Williams, who has that ceiling that we're looking for. And I know the targets really haven't been there, but we're talking an awesome game environment between the Vikings and the Lions that's probably going to have more than 50 points total in the game. Takes Jameson Williams 1 play to get a big play. I would rank these guys again. If James Cook plays, I'm going to probably play Jameson Williams. I would go J-Mo, Cooper, Downs, Ray Davis if James Cook plays. But if Cook's out, I'm going Ray Davis. Flex 1, full PPR, Waddle, Dubes, Juju, or Jordan Mason. Ooh. Okay, so I still don't want to play Waddle because I mean he's 8 points. I don't really want to play Jalen Waddle here. I think the safest play is probably Jordan Mason if he plays. If Jordan Mason does not play, I think I'm going to lean with. It's tough between Dobbs and Juju. I think Dobbs is kind of the hot hand right now. Dontavian Wicks is banged up. I think you're probably playing Romeo Dobbs here over Juju Smith-Schuster. So if Jordan Mason plays, I will play Jordan Mason. If Jordan Mason's out, I will play Romeo Dobbs. Douglas, Madison, Rachaad White, Waddle, full PPR. We're going to cross Rachaad White out. I don't really quite see the ceiling there for Waddle, so we'll cross him out. It's between Douglas and Madison. Now, there's a chance Zamir White plays and takes some of the carries out of there. I think you just played Demario Douglas in a full PPR league. Kyler or May is my QB2 in Superflex behind the Hurts. Okay, so I don't know if you missed it, but at the beginning of the show, we did highlight Drake May practiced today, but he went in for an MRI after practice. So we have to watch the reports on Drake May. If Drake May plays, I'm playing Drake May over Kyler Murray. Against the Jags, sign me up. I will play Drake May in a game where we expect the Patriots to be trailing in pretty much every game this year. So May playing from behind, throwing touchdowns, running for touchdowns. I think that's more exciting than Kyler Murray right now against a good Chargers defense. Douglas, Hopkins, Moss. We're going to go Douglas. Superflex. We need 2 RBs. Barkley, Beach. Oh my goodness, you got some good backs here, buddy. Damn. I mean, you got to play Barkley against his former team, the Giants. I think that's the one that we're locking in for sure. And then I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Bijan Robinson. I know Chuba's been playing great. If you want to play Chuba over Bijan, I think I'm fine with it. If I'm ranking these guys, I'm going to go Saquon, Bijan, and Chuba, and then probably J.K., Brian Robinson. So if you want to play Chuba over Bijan, I get it. I'm fine with it. It's Washington. Chuba's been a fantastic running back all year. But you got to play Saquon, and then it's between Bijan and Chuba. I'm going to lean Bijan still. Kmet is a must-stash. If you can hold him over the bye week, please do so. He's been one of the best tight ends the last couple of weeks, and a lot of it has to do with just the Bears figuring it out offensively. Like, their offense was kind of all over the place. They were running a lot of 2 tight end stuff. Like Gerald Everett was running more snaps and routes than Kmet early in the year, but they've since consolidated over the last few weeks, and they're running Kmet primarily as their tight end and only sticking with the 3 receivers. I think Kmet is a top 10 tight end the rest of the season. Pick 1, double PPR. Javonte, Tank, Najee, Bucky, Jonathan Taylor. If Taylor plays, you got to hold out for Taylor. I know he's not a big threat for double PPR leagues, but he is your best running back on this roster. So Taylor would be my priority if he plays. If no Jonathan Taylor, I'm not playing Javonte. I think you're probably going to play Bucky Irving. So if JT plays, I'll play JT. Otherwise, I'm going Bucky. Is Nick Chubb safer than Mason and Cook if they play limited? I don't think so, man. It's completely unknown with Nick Chubb. Like, he might just be active and run 5 carries and they just call it a day. Like, we really don't know what we're getting ourselves into with Nick Chubb. So I'm going to lean towards caution with Nick Chubb there. I would play Jordan Mason if I had the choice. Drop Josh Palmer in Dynasty for Bub Means. Sure. Bub Means is going to get an extended look for the next month. He could develop into something that we trust, but, long term, he's still behind Olave. He's still behind Rashid Shaheed. So at best, in a 3 to 4 week outlook, Bub Means returns to the wide receiver 3. Not really so I think either way, both these guys are not like essential holds, but for the next 3-4 games, Bub Means has the more value. Good evening to JSC. Which side are you heading into week 7? Puka and Tank Dell or Brian Thomas and T. Higgins? I'm going to lean who? I'm going to lean Brian Thomas Jr. and T. Higgins because I think you're getting 2 top 20 wide receivers there. When Puka Nacua comes back, you still have to deal with targets to Cooper Kupp. And just the Rams offense as a whole, I don't know if I'm excited about it. And then you'd also have Nico Collins coming back, which will push Tank Dell back to like a flex territory guy. So I'm going to go with Brian Thomas and T. Higgins, who are my two receivers that I feel confident starting every week. I just don't know if I'm going to be starting Tank Dell when Nico Collins comes back. So short term, you're still missing Puka Nacua for at least one or two more games. I think I go with Brian Thomas Jr. and T. Higgins in this scenario. JSC says Leggett. Okay. If he plays 17 games, do you think J.K. Dobbins can finish as a top 5 running back this season? So, it's a huge if. I personally don't see him playing 17 games. I would be totally shocked if he does. Right now, though, he's averaging 15.8 fantasy points per game, which isn't a top 5 back. So I don't know if I quite see that upside. I think he's more of a top 10 fantasy back if he plays 17 games, not so much a top 5 back because he doesn't get the receiving volume that requires, being a stud top 5 running back. So I think he's more top 5 than he is top 10 than he is top 5. Alec Pierce, yeah, same thing. I don't really trust Alec Pierce quite yet. So we're going to stick with our answer from earlier. Yes, I'm still going to roster Rome Odunze. This Bears schedule coming up is very, very fruitful. And Keenan Allen caught 2 touchdowns last week. Those touchdowns can go to Odunze any given week. And who knows? If DJ Moore or Keenan Allen get hurt, Odunze is probably a must start for fantasy. Good question there. He is competition with Bijan Robinson for the number 1 running back. C-Dog, good evening. Hope you are having a good night. Thank you for your question. Do I trade Terry and Sam Laporta for Ferguson and Bijan Robinson? So Sam Laporta has not worked out. He's kind of lost in this offense that wants to run the ball. And when they do throw, they're looking for Amon-Ra. They're looking for Jameson Williams deep. Laporta just has not been consistent. So I prefer Ferguson over Laporta at tight end. And, if you need a running back, Bijan to Terry McLaurin is a safe play. I'm going to lean Ferguson and Bijan in that trade there, C-Dog. Do I like Jackson Smith-Njigba this week? So they're playing Atlanta. In Atlanta, that to me kind of sounds like a really fast-paced, high-scoring game. So I do like JSN this weekend. The Falcons, they're not a great defense. I mean, they've allowed 5 receiver touchdowns in the last 2 weeks here, 3 to Tampa Bay, 2 to Carolina. They also let the Chiefs score 2 receiver touchdowns. It's a good matchup here for JSN. So I do feel good about JSN. And then as for Ladd McConkey this week, Ladd McConkey is slowly earning our trust here. He's had, he's had 1 bad game of 4.6 points, 2 floor games of 7 and 8. And then he's had 2 nice games where he's caught touchdowns for 14.9 and 17.7. He's playing the Cardinals this weekend, which is a matchup I want to identify and take advantage of here. So I do like Ladd McConkey, but I think he's more of like a top 36-ish receiver. He's not like a must-start player. He's a fringe player. Can I bank on a Courtland Sutton touchdown this weekend? Oh, man. I don't know. He scored touchdowns in 2 of the last 3 games. I don't want to bank on any touchdowns here for the Broncos. So I'm going to say no, we can't bank on it, but he continues to be their number 1 receiver. Bo Nix trusts him near the red zone. He's made some pretty nice catches near the red zone as well. I don't want to bank on a touchdown, but I do feel like he's got like a 60% chance at a touchdown. Brock Bowers. That's a tough. Bowers and Kelsey on the same team here. I'm going to lean Brock Bowers, man. Bowers has been better for the whole year. He's getting tons of targets, 10, 12 the last 2 weeks here. I'm leaning with Brock Bowers. McBride, Evan Ingram, Kyle Pitts rest of season. Kyle Pitts is the clear 3rd guy here. I think I'm going to lean Trey McBride as your tight end 1. Ingram as your tight end 2, and I do like Ingram, but you also have a little bit of the stink of the Jags. He had a fantastic game last weekend, and I do expect him to continue playing well. But I think you got to give it to Trey McBride, Ingram 2, Kyle Pitts the clear 3. C-Dog says my other RBs are Saquon and Henry. My receivers are DK and Jamar. Bijan would be my flex if I did the trade. Okay. So your RB depth is rough.
Yeah, I mean, if your RB depth is not really existent behind those two guys, I'm fine with getting Bijan, who, I feel good about Bijan in my flex every week. Terry McLaurin, as good as he's been playing, we still don't know if we can trust him long term for the whole season. I think I'm going to upgrade from Terry to Bijan and feel pretty good about it, man. Can we trust Cooper and Adams the first week they play? I think you can trust Davante Adams because they've already come out and said, yeah, he's playing. And just that chemistry with Aaron Rodgers, man, he doesn't need to know much. Like they can just make like a weird hand signal and they know what Adams' route is going to be for that play. So I think Adams is in your starting lineups this weekend. Amari Cooper is more of a question. If I'm looking at Amari Cooper versus say Bub Means, I'm going Amari Cooper. If I'm going, Amari Cooper versus some of these guys like Ladd McConkey, Sutton, maybe Josh Downs, maybe, Wan'Dale Robinson, guys like that. I'm going to lean Amari Cooper because he just needs a touchdown to make your day. But I think Cooper, they've already said that they're not sure if he's going to play. So we have to watch for that. I do like Amari Cooper long-term rest of season, but I think he is more of a thinker for this week. Rank these receivers for this week: JSN, Douglas, and Ladd McConkey. I'm going to rank them just as you listed them. I'm going to go JSN, Douglas, and then Ladd McConkey. We're going BTJ, Aiden. We're going Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr., man, he's a really good player playing against the Patriots in London. He dropped a touchdown last weekend. If he catches that touchdown, we're all thinking, yeah, he's a must-start player every week. I'm going Brian Thomas Jr. I think the Jags offense looks good this Sunday. Another 8-team full PPR question here for Superflex. We have 2 flex to fill, and I'm thinking of using Chuba and J.K. Dobbins. I have Josh Downs, Pickens, Watson overall. I can't decide. No, I think you have it right here. I'm going, and again, in most situations, if I have a running back projected for 15 to 20 touches, I'm going to play that running back. You don't know what you're getting from Josh Downs with Anthony Richardson. We don't know what we're getting from George Pickens with Russell Wilson quite yet. And especially his first game back, there might be some rust there. And Watson, who knows what we're getting week to week here. I want to take the 15 to 20 touches from the running backs. I think you handled that correctly. Tracy or Warren? I'm going to go Tyrone Tracy, and that's even if Singletary plays, because we've seen him play good for 2 games. There's a chance that Tracy just, gets more opportunities than Singletary, and I think that even if Singletary plays, he's coming off an injury. They might just continue to give Tracy, 10-plus touches. So I think Tracy over Warren right now is the play. Do I like Tank Dell or Austin Eckler this weekend? I'm going to lean Austin Eckler just because I feel safe for him to get 10 to 12 points. You also have Brian Robinson kind of coming back from injury. They're playing the Panthers. I think Eckler is the safe call. And if he scores, boom, you get your 18 to 20 points. Packers defense is still good. I'm going to lean Eckler. Yeah, man, you hit the jackpot on both trades here. Josh Allen gets a boost in the receiving and the passing column. Davante Adams, obviously, we had nothing the last few weeks. You hit a double jackpot there. Do you like Leggett or Juju this week? I do like Leggett, but I'm going to lean Juju just because the Chiefs offense, a little bit more to trust than the Panthers. Leggett's still the kind of number 2, number 3 target there, and I still don't know if he's a good – I think he's a good player. I don't know if he's a great player yet. And, if he doesn't catch a touchdown last weekend, he only gets like 5 fantasy points. So I'm going to lean Juju coming off a bye. Good game against the 49ers. I think Juju makes more plays than Leggett. How many touches does Nick Chubb get this week? I think 20 plus. I would give you like $200 if Nick Chubb gets 20 carries in his first game back. That would surprise the hell out of me. I do understand that Jerome Ford's not playing, but they still like Pierre Strong. They still like Deonta Foreman. I think you're looking at a weird 3-way committee. If I had to bet, if I'm going to put money on Nick Chubb carries this weekend, I think the limit is 10 to 12 on the high side. I would be very shocked if they give him 20 touches in his first game. Juju or Ladd McConkey? I'll go Ladd McConkey. I like the matchup against Arizona. He is their leading slot receiver. I'm going to lean slightly Ladd McConkey there, but it's very close, Harris, but I'm going to lean Ladd McConkey. I'm going to hit refresh on a couple feeds. If you guys have any more questions, please get them in. I'll probably finish up in a couple minutes here. But how many receivers would you take over Chris Godwin right now? So let me pull up my rest of season rankings here because I just updated them, I believe, yesterday morning. I have Chris Godwin as the wide receiver 5. So the only receivers ahead of Chris Godwin right now for me are JJ, Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, and CeeDee Lamb. I'm taking Chris Godwin over Amon-Ra, over A.J. Brown, over Drake London, Jaden Reed, Cooper Kupp. I want Chris Godwin on my teams. He's the thumbnail guy of this video tonight. I also made a trade for him in a Dynasty League this week. So Godwin is the dude. He's looking fantastic. I know he's kind of struggled with the knee injury the last couple seasons, but he looks as good as ever. And hey, no problem, Aiden. Thank you for hanging out with us and getting your question in. I appreciate you, man. Should I hold on to Pitt or San Fran defense rest of season? We're going to go Pittsburgh defense. Pittsburgh is they're a top 5 defense in real life football. I don't know what the 49ers situation is rest of season. I'm going to go Pittsburgh. So I mean, there's definitely going to be some Mike Evans games, but I think right now, if I have to choose, like I have one spot for a receiver. If I have to set this for the rest of the season, I'm putting Chris Godwin in there. I do like Mike Evans, but he's had some bad games. Whereas Godwin is just safe and steady every week. He's getting double-digit targets most weeks. Evans has had 3 duds, 3 awesome games. You know, when he scores touchdowns, that's when he's going to hit. But I think for now, I'm going to continue to take that high consistency and high floor of Godwin. Would you trade BTJ and Mooney for Cooper and Deontay Johnson? I think so. And as much as I like Brian Thomas Jr., man, I think getting Cooper, Josh Allen's number 1 wide receiver versus Trevor Lawrence's number 1, number 2 target, I think I'm going to lean with Josh Allen there. And I think Deontay versus Mooney is kind of a no-brainer. I do think there's a little bit of risk, though, that when Bryce Young comes back, we're going to lose some Deontay value. But I would imagine that those guys still have their ups and downs, just like Darnell Mooney has. So I'm going to lean Cooper and Deontay Johnson, but that one's close, where I don't think you have to make a deal. You can hold on to your BTJ and Mooney if you want, but for the foreseeable future, as long as Andy Dalton's out there, I'm going to go Cooper and Deontay. For rest of season, I'm going to go Justin Jefferson, just because we're talking, a number 1 receiver in his prime. Derrick Henry, as the year gets longer, more carries rack up. Maybe he starts to lose some of his muster. I'm going to lean Justin Jefferson as the player that I would rather have rest of year over Derrick Henry. And Henry's been fantastic, but you do have to worry about the age. I'm going to go JJ here. But that's going to do it for tonight, guys. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys on this Wednesday evening. Tomorrow night, we will be going live at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So if you guys want to hang out with me, 6:30 tomorrow night, we'll go live and talk for half an hour before the game. We're getting a preseason game tomorrow night, so hopefully you guys don't have to rely on anybody in tomorrow night's game. Alvin Kamara is really the only one I think that's acceptable for tomorrow night, and even then I'm a little nervous about that. So thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We will see you tomorrow night. Peace.